Hi, my name's Steve Wheatley, and I'm Butterfly Conservation's Regional Conservation Manager for South East England. I've got 5 minutes here to talk to you about some of our highest conservation priorities in the Upper Thames branch area and the actions that we're delivering for those species, and also some of the actions that we'll need to deliver in the next few years. Our conservation priorities are set out in this document, which is a really easy to read, really accessible and interesting document that you can download from our website. All of the information in here is underpinned by strong scientific evidence, especially the records that have been collected by our volunteers and the wider public. This then sets out how we can best spend our limited resources for the best conservation impact. So here we have a map of the Upper Thames branch area with the Vice County boundaries marked and some of the towns marked on there for reference. On the left hand side here you'll see 6 lovely butterflies and moths. All of these are special to the Upper Thames branch area and all of them are UK BAP priority species and are included in our UK conservation strategy. I'll briefly go through each of these one by one. So let's start with the lovely Duke of Burgundy butterfly. This is a chalk grassland specialist feeding on cowslips and primroses, and it's restricted to the landscapes of the Chilterns and the Berkshire Downs or North Wessex Downs. The orange squares here represent records from the last 10 years, and this shows that the Duke of Burgundy population is really fragmented and consists of some very small, very isolated colonies. This presents a particular challenge for butterfly conservation because these small colonies are at great risk of localized extinction, and if they're lost, it's very unlikely that those will be recolonized. You might notice there is one slightly anomalous record in the north of Buckinghamshire. This is at Blue Lagoon Country Park near Milton Keynes, and it's probable that this was an unofficial, ill-informed release of the butterfly. Sadly, the butterfly isn't going to be able to survive in that landscape. In the last 5 years, Butterfly Conservation has delivered a project to help the Duke of Burgundy in the Chilterns landscape. This project was funded by the Veolia Environmental Trust, and we worked in partnership with Linden Gate, with Chiltern Rangers, the National Trust, and with some private landowners. The aim of the project was to enhance existing habitat where the butterfly is already found, and to increase the area of habitat that could become available for them. And we've also enhanced those areas by planting more cowslips, which is the caterpillar food plant. The large-scale works were undertaken by contractors, and we were also helped by more than 200 volunteers. Our youngest volunteer is here in the centre. She's 9 years old, and our oldest volunteer was 84. Our project partners at Linden Gate grew nearly 2,000 cowslips for us, and those have all been planted out in the Chilterns landscape. So how is the Duke of Burgundy faring in the Upper Thames branch area? Well, we're managing to conserve the population at its current level, and perhaps distribution is showing a small increase. But there is clearly still a long way to go with this butterfly. We will continue to work with our conservation partners in this area, and we'll hope to see that the population is secured for the longer term. The wood white butterfly is another conservation priority, and it's one of the UK's rarest species. It's found in the woodlands of North Buckinghamshire and South Northamptonshire. Again, the dots on the map here show records from the last 10 years. Just over the border in Northamptonshire, Butterfly Conservation has been undertaking a project called Woodland Wings. This is delivered in partnership with Forestry England and was funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. In total, 5 kilometres of woodland rides have been restored. Although the harvesting looks messy at first, the resulting habitat is absolutely ideal for the wood white, and it has colonised all of the rides that have been restored. The project is ongoing, and it will undoubtedly benefit the wood white population on both sides of the border. The silver-studded blue only occurs on the Thames Basin heaths, which straddles the border with Berkshire, Hampshire and Surrey. The heathlands here are under a huge amount of pressure from urbanisation such as housing developments and recreational pressures. There's also risks of accidental damage such as large-scale fires. We work with a wide range of organisations on this area, including 3 wildlife trusts, Forestry England, Natural England and the Thames Basin Heaths Partnership. Their rangers have done a fantastic job at championing the silver-studded blue. There's also large areas of land here which are still owned by the MOD, and these are some of the best areas for silver-studded blue. So with all of these challenges, how is the silver-studded blue faring on the Thames Basin heaths? Well, I'm pleased to say that we are seeing an upturn here. And even though the Berkshire heaths are only a small proportion of the Thames Basin heaths, we are seeing an upturn there as well. Some of this will be due to more recording, but that data gives us more evidence and strengthens our case for the protection of this important habitat. So now onto a butterfly which has largely disappeared from the southeast of England. The marsh fritillary relies on damp grassland and feeds on devil's bit scabious. It's a butterfly that is now almost exclusively restricted to the west of England, to Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. But there are efforts to try to bring the butterfly back, both in North Hampshire and here near Oxford, where the RSPB is trying to bring the butterfly back to Otmore. The project here, led by the RSPB and Natural England, is seeing the planting of huge amounts of devil's bit scabious. In time, this will provide a vast network of suitable habitat which the butterfly could occupy. There's currently no fixed timescale on when this reintroduction would take place. Any decisions will be underpinned by strong scientific evidence. The heart moth is one of our highest priority moth species in the UK conservation strategy. This moth is associated with oak, so it's really quite strange that it's such a rare moth. Under a project named We Love Heart Moths, which has been part funded by Surrey Wildlife Trust, we've been trying to learn more about this moth and we've been visiting the sites where it has been found. Windsor Great Park is one of only 2 sites in the UK where the moth has been recorded in the last few years. The Crown Estate have very kindly given us permission to survey there, and we've been returning there in the last few years. We put light traps under the big old oaks and wait. Unfortunately, this is one of those species that rarely comes to light until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, so it can often be a long wait. In each of the last 3 years, we found a single heart moth at Windsor Great Park. So we're still struggling to understand what are the limiting factors here for this moth. We have, though, recorded some other rare species during these surveys, including the quite impressive goat moth, pictured here on the left with the buff-tip moth on the right. We'll be returning to Windsor Great Park next year and to other sites to continue the survey for the heart moth. And finally, we return to the Chilterns landscape to talk about the striped lickness moth. With the Duke of Burgundy, this is the highest priority species within the Chilterns landscape. The caterpillars of the striped lickness feed on dark mullein, and as you can see from the map, there's a really strong core population within the central Chilterns area. The moth is also found in Hampshire and West Sussex, and we cover all of these landscapes as part of a national monitoring programme. 5 sites in the Chilterns and 5 sites in West Sussex and Hampshire are now surveyed every year to provide a national indicator for the health of this species. The survey involves searching the sites for dark mullein. We count the number of flowering spikes that we see and we count the number of caterpillars that we find on them. As you can see from this photo, the caterpillars can actually be quite chunky and quite easy to spot. At the 5 sites in the Chilterns this year, more than 17,000 flower spikes were counted and 1,353 caterpillars. This is more than any other area in the UK. A huge thank you to the volunteers that did the counting. The highest number of striped lickness caterpillars that was found at a site was 480 at the National Trust's Bradnam estate. This was the most caterpillars counted of any site in the UK. So well done to the volunteers that did the counting, and well done to the National Trust. We will continue to work with all of the land managers who are involved in this survey, and we can use the information that we're learning here to inform land management across the wider landscape. This will help in striped lickness conservation and also other species conservation. So I hope this gives you a flavour of what we've been working on and how our priorities are informing our work going forwards. Obviously, as we're delivering work for priority species, we're also looking for opportunities to save our wider countryside species too. We're 5 years into the delivery of our 10-year conservation strategy. I hope that I'm going to be able to share with you some more exciting results as we go through the next 5 years. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all your support for butterfly conservation. And a special thank you to everyone that records butterflies and moths. I'm sure you can see from this just how important your data is and how it's informing what we do.